Hi, this is one of my very first videos with my Kawasaki Versys 650. It didn't come with any USB in the dashboard for any sat-navs and things like that, so I'm going to fit one today. So these are the parts. I ordered this from eBay, so they are pretty cheap. You can get the original OEM Kawasaki one, but it is quite expensive. It's like nearly £100 for it. So today I'm going to fit it. This is the first look, if I can get into it. So 2 USB ports, one quick charge, one 2.4 amp, a plus and minus. I'm gonna assume that the red is plus and the minus is the other one, but I will check that before I do anything. So there is a lock nut. You need to take that off for now. I would put the cable on first, because when you pass it through the bike you can then put the lock nut on. This one comes with a relay that is all set for the Kawasaki. Again, you can get different relays, Kawasaki original stuff, but I would say they all do the same thing. Worst case scenario, it's just not going to work, so I'm going to give it a good try. Also, I have a sat-nav bar that I also bought from eBay. Not that expensive. It's got the word Versys on the razor, and it's got a nice green anodized that will look good with the spring on the side of my bike and the front fork suspension. Also with some bolts, put it all together, and an Allen key, which is good. Everything I need. The only thing I will be using is some light Loctite, so I can always get it off. I've got loads of this stuff, but let's get to work. Let's try and get it working. So I've never taken anything off a bike before. I've never worked on a bike, any mechanical knowledge of a bike or anything. The first thing I need to do is take this windshield off, and this should just literally just unscrew. And then the bolt fits from the other side, so I'll just stick that together for now. Put that on the bench. Do the other side. Now, I've been told when you take this off, you don't want to lose anything. It's got to go back on exactly the same way as it came off. So there's a little shim washer. This one's obviously been trapped beforehand, and that'll fit in that recess, and then it will clamp down. So now the screen just comes off. Don't need to do anything with these other bits. There is a little bit of a seal. You don't want to lose that seal, so put that on the bench somewhere safe. The next thing is there's 2 Allen key bolts, and there's also these little plastic risers here, plastic clips. So I'll try and find out what Allen key it fits. Good guess. So we're on a 4mm Allen key. I'll just unscrew these first. I've also been told as well, when you take this fairing off, you want to not scratch it against the actual screen mount. So there's little plastic washers that I dropped. Little plastic washer and the bolt itself. You don't want to lose any of them. And then with these plastic clips, you just push it in into the clips and just use your nail to pull it up, and then that needs to go higher, so when you put it back together it will click in. So once again on this side, click, then pull the clip out, like so. So this fairing should be loose now. And it's looking like you pull it down rather than out. Pull it down past this clip here. Just slide it down. Careful not to scratch any of the bike. And there we have it. So in here, this nicely taped up is where you would click the relay, and you would slot it onto this spike. You can also, on the other side of the dashboard from the USB, you can put a gear indicator which is connected to this. So once you unplug this bit, then you can plug the gear indicator and the same sort of hole that would show then what gear you're in. We're not going to do that because they're very expensive. There's one on eBay at the minute for 133 quid, but I don't really need to know what gear I'm in. So the first thing I'm going to do is just carefully cut this insulation tape. It's a little bit fiddly because my hands are big in there, but like so. That is the relay that's going to connect into this relay. I'm not going to do it yet because then there's no power to this bit. Some people like to disconnect the battery. I don't believe you need to, because this is already pretty much shown as live, or not live, but a bare wire. So once again, just need to carefully cut this cable so you can get it free. A nice steady hand. Can move this tape out of the way and get these two cables here. So that will be the connection for the USB socket. One in there, and that is red, so I'm going to assume that's all alive. And then the earth one, which is the unshielded. So we'll connect that a little bit later on. First thing we need to do is locate this here with a screwdriver, which is going to be a little bit difficult to get to without taking too much off. I need to unscrew that clamp that will then remove this so that we can put it in. So it's a little bit fiddly, and even if you take this screen mount off, you still really can't get in there. It might give you a little bit more room, but what I found is with a number 1 posi drive, you can just thread it all the way through, and then with both hands you can just unscrew that screw. Now the last thing you want to do is drop that screw all the way down the fairing, just in case you can't find it. But it is probably the fiddliest thing that you can do. So that's it off. And that's the bit. You've got a little rubber buffer to stop any vibration. That would screw into the front panel like so. So keep hold of that for a rainy day, because you never know when you might need to put that back on. Okay, so this is the hole that we've just made. I'm going to be putting this USB in, so obviously I want it facing that way and not that way, so I can read it properly. I've already put the cable on, so you just thread that through, making sure that it doesn't trap anything from underneath, and then just push that home. So the USB that I bought was probably a little bit too big for that hole, so I almost had to use the threads to screw it all the way home. But that is what it'll look like now it's fitted. All I need to do is put this onto the back end of it. The original Kawasaki one does have a torque measurement for it. I don't know how you would torque it being where it is, but the idea is to screw this on the back. Again, little hands would be handy on this one. Try not to cross thread it as well. So now that's free screwing up. The idea now, I'm going to put a dab of Loctite right on the edge of that thread. Just to hold that thread in the right place so it doesn't vibrate off. You're going to make sure that it doesn't move as well. Can you just use the edge of that flat screwdriver? That is going nowhere, so I'm happy with that. So the wires now, the uninsulated one into the insulated one, and it doesn't feel a very nice connection, so I'm going to squeeze that a little bit. I'm sure if you got the original Kawasaki one, it would just click no problem, but it's got to be good enough to click in and be solid, and the same with this side. Absolutely solid they are now, so I'm happy with that. I am going to just put a little bit of tape on both of these connections and tape it to there so there's no wires can vibrate. Well, you can see with my hands in the way, but I'm just going to tape it in that way. Once I know everything works, just need to put the relay on. The relay will only work one way because you've got this little click in and that click in on there, so it should just fit in and then wait for a click, and just check by pulling that rubber boot back. There, clicked in, perfect. So then this little hook area here would hook over the top of this like the rest of them and then get held in place like so. So now we should have a working USB. So go around the front. So now we've got the USB charger installed, the rubber boot for the waterproofness, and then let's have a go at switching the ignition on. To answer everybody's question, it does light up nice blue. If I plug that in, there we are, charging. Wicked. Just double check they both work. And again, charging. So that's nice, easy install for the USB. So now I've taped these wires up. I've also taped it on this side so that it won't vibrate anywhere. Everything else looks safe and sorted. Everything's nice and put back. All the cables are attached. Loctite will be going off on there and that will hold that absolutely solid. So now it's just putting the fairing back on, which is just the reverse of what you did to take it off. So without scratching it too much, under this lip, and then the two Allen key screws. Make sure these are clicked in into the side on both sides. Make sure your little plastic washers are on there, and then screw this screw down. So make sure your little washers are on. The idea here is not to tighten it fully just yet until you've got these plastics in. Once again, with these nipples here, make sure it's on the outside. Push it in and then just click it home. Same on this side. Push it in and then just push the middle bit until it goes click. That's that done. So now it's just a screen to put on. I am going to put the sat nav bar across here, so I'm going to just leave it off. I'll do that on a different video, so I'm running out of memory, so I'm going to have to do that in a bit once I've got rid of all the memory on the cards. I'm not expecting people to like and subscribe for this type of video. It's just really for my reference so that I know exactly what I've done and when I've done it. So now I can tighten these up and I'll put the screen back on. So the screen would literally make sure it's lined it up. Make sure it's lined up. And then you can just pass these through, making sure that you don't trap it. If I had any sense, I would have marked exactly where the screen was, because I had it perfect, but I didn't. So maybe that'll help somebody mark it before you take it apart. So I need to probably go for a ride now and see where the wind stops buffering my head. But it was probably around there somewhere.